Hey, boys and girls, this is Mr. Wright here, and here's a story called The Rooster Story by Gemini. Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a poor farmer on a tiny farm. He had a few animals that you often find on farms: cats, dogs, cow, a horse, sheep, a goat, some chickens, but he had one very special rooster. Now, this rooster was out scratching and pecking in the dirt. When suddenly he hit something very hard and shiny. He pecked all around it and saw that it was a beautiful silver dollar. He picked it up. He held it in the sunlight. It sparkled. And just then, a car came racing down the road. And it screeched right in front of the rooster. The door opened, and out stepped Mr. Stingy Man. Now, Mr. Stingy Man had lots of money. He had a special vault made of stone and steel. It was 40 feet high. It was 40 feet wide. It was 100 yards long, where he kept all of his money. But he was so stingy. He never gave anything to anybody. He just kept putting all his money in his vault. And now it was almost full, but he was never satisfied. He always wanted more. And so when he saw the silver dollar, he wanted it. Mr. Stingy Man said, "Hey, Rooster, give me that dollar." The rooster said, "No, I won't. I'm going to take it back to the farmer." "Oh, no, you won't," said Mr. Stingy Man. He grabbed the rooster by the neck, yanked the silver dollar away from him, jumped into his car, and drove off. Well, the little rooster, he took off after him. And he ran and he ran and he ran. Till finally, he made it to Mr. Stingy Man's house. He jumped up on the window and he started singing to the top of his voice. "Hey, Mr. Stingy Man, listen to me holler. Cock-a-doodle-doodle-doo, give me back my dollar." He kept singing over and over till Mr. Stingy Man got real tired of it. He called his son, whose name was Tightwad, and he said, "Tightwad, take that rooster and throw him in the well." So Tightwad took that rooster and threw him in the well. But the little rooster, he was not afraid. He sang, "Belly, belly, belly, taking all the water. Belly, 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 taking all the water. Look, 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 look." He jumped back up on Mr. Stingy Man's window and started singing. Hey, Mr. Stingy Man, listen to me holler. Cock-a-doodle-doodle-doo, give me back my dollar. Mr. Stingy Man got even madder than before. He called his son Tightwad. Tightwad! Take that, Rooster! And throw him in the furnace. So Tightwad grabbed the rooster and threw him in the fiery furnace. But the little rooster was not afraid. He sang, belly, 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 let out all the water. Belly, 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 let out all the water. And the water put out the fire. Just then the little rooster jumped up out of the furnace and onto the windowsill and started singing again. Hey, Mr. Stingy Man, listen to me holler. Cock-a-doodle-doodle-doo, give me back my dollar. But Mr. Stingy Man was furious. He cried out, Tightwad! Grab that rooster and throw him in the beehive. So Tightwad grabbed that rooster and threw him in the beehive. The bees were flying all around him, but the little rooster was not afraid. He sang, belly, 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 taking all the bees. Belly, 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 taking all the bees. And his belly took in all the bees. He jumped up out of the beehive and went up on the windowsill and started singing to the top of his lungs. Hey, Mr. Stingy Man, listen to me holler. Cock-a-doodle-doodle-doo, give me back my dollar. Now, Mr. Stingy Man was really, really angry. He cried out, Tightwad, bring that rooster, and we're going to stuff him in my baggy pants, and I'll sit on him. So Tightwad grabbed the rooster, stuffed him in the pants, and Mr. Stingy Man sat on him. But the little rooster was not afraid. He cried, belly, 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 let out all the bees. Belly, 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 let out all the bees. And Mr. Stingy Man got bit by the bees. Ouch, 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 ah, oh, ah, oh, ah, oh, oh, ah, oh. Tightwad, take that rooster and dig him down to the vault and give him his silver dollar. So Tightwad grabbed the rooster and he ran all the way down to that vault. He opened the door, and the little rooster took a look at all that beautiful money. And he started singing. Belly, 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 taking all the money. Belly, 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 taking all the money. Clink, click, clink, click, and he took in all the money. And then he ran. He ran all the way home. He gave the poor farmer all the money. And they lived happily ever after. And that's the story of the rooster by Gemini.